You have a message to spread. But with all the different platforms out here, you might be confused about which platform you need to use to spread your message. Well, my friend, let me let you know that podcasting is an excellent choice. It's an excellent opportunity for you. And so I have a message for you, and I'm going to play that message for you right now. Here you are, my friend. You have a message that you know will bless someone's life. Maybe your jokes can make them smile. Maybe your voice can soothe their soul. Or maybe you can motivate them to find their purpose. The problem. You see, here's the thing. You don't know how to get your message across in a way that it can have a lasting impact. In today's fast-paced world of digital media, where tweets, snaps, and stories are fleeting thoughts that evaporate before they can be consumed, at times you feel hopeless. Will they ever know? You were put here to make a change, to somehow make things better. But what if they never hear you? This is why I am encouraging you to start a podcast. Podcasting is the way that you can break through. You can break through the noise. You can break through the clutter. You can get your message across in a podcast. It's that intimate connection that you have with your listener when you're in their earbuds. There's nothing like it. Start your podcast today and change someone's life. You can do it, my friends. You can do it. And that's why I started a new podcast, a new blog, and a new station. And it's called Free Podcast Host. Free Podcast Host. And I wanted to give people options to get their podcast started for free, because they might not be sure. They might not be sold on the idea of podcasting. Maybe they're not sure they have the right tech, the right gear. Maybe they're not sure what the topic is that they want to talk about. You know that you could talk, but do people want to hear what you have to say? Or are you going to be afraid to talk on the mic as opposed to just talking like you normally do? And so even though I know that podcasting is a great tool and a great platform, you may not be convinced. So I decided that I would start on a journey looking for a free podcasting host. Now, I know some people may not like that idea of why would you tell people, encourage people to get a free podcasting host. In fact, I got that comment over on Twitter. You may have heard that, may have heard me talking about that, because, and the reason that I want to encourage people is because instead of you not starting a podcast because you think it's unaffordable, I want to give you the options. I want to walk you through the process, let you know what the features are of the different hosts, free podcasting hosts that are out there. And then that way it can help you decide which one you want to start with. Now, of course, the end goal is that you'll see just how effective podcasting is. You'll fall in love with podcasting. And then you will go ahead and upgrade to a paid account perhaps with one of the free podcasting hosts that I'm going to talk about today, or perhaps you will upgrade with some that I'm not going to cover today, but I'm going to cover in a future video and on future podcast episodes. But I know that I needed to break this down because there are a lot of options out there. So today we're really just going to talk about 4. And the primary ones we're going to talk about are Spreaker, my personal favorite, Podbean, which is growing on me, Buzzsprout, and Anchor. Of course, Anchor always has to come into the conversation because that's where I actually started the podcast, over on Anchor. And I know that some of my Anchor friends are here. As a matter of fact, let me just share some that are in the audience. Let me get that on the right screen for you guys. Nope. I gotta click the right button in order to get it on the right screen. The chat. There you go. Hey. And Andrew's here. Yes, he's getting coffee though. Ann Capone, one of my favorite Anchor mates. Great to see you. Rick. Here missed the last few times. Oh, great, Rick. And then there's Tish, my hashtagologist. What's up, girl? And then Zay 2 times. Hi, how you doing? The soothing voice of Miss Ileane. Thank you so much, Larry Snow. And subliminal messaging. Yes. I know, right, Larry? I finally know what the LKR, because actually it's IKR. Hashtag Ileane Fun, hashtag Ileane Podcast, Ileane YouTube Church, Ileane Super Cute. Yes, it's Super Cute Saturday. And, Corruption Czar is here today. I hope that your behavior is a lot better than it was last week. And okay, Andrew's got his coffee, so he's back. Andrew, let us know, do you have cream and sugar in the coffee? We need to know these things. Barb, isn't Spreaker the one Dave Jackson works for, Ileane? Oh, no, Barb, but hang on. Let me come back on cam. Haha, no, Dave Jackson. And for all of you guys who don't know who Dave Jackson is, if you're watching this in a replay or if you just don't know, Dave Jackson is with the School of Podcasting. That's his home base. And for years, he has been teaching people about podcasting, and he's a podcast coach. He's got about 5 or 6 podcasts at this point. And he's always been an advocate of one of the podcast hosts. We're not going to talk about them too much today. And that's Libsyn. That stands for Liberated Syndication. So just in case, I'll give you the how it's spelled. Libsyn. And even before Dave Jackson worked for Libsyn, which he's been working for them for 2 years now, he was always an advocate for Libsyn, but he does not work for Spreaker. However, my dear friend Rob Greenlee works for Spreaker, and that's Greenlee with 2 E's. And you can follow him on Twitter, and I advise you to follow both Rob Greenlee and Dave Jackson. I think Rob Greenlee is probably the person that I know that started podcasting. He's like the original OG podcaster that I know. I mean, there's others that started before him, like maybe 2 months before him or 2 weeks before him. But Rob started podcasting like a month or so after podcasting was invented. So Rob Greenlee, he's adorable. He is, when I say adorable, I mean he is very knowledgeable. He's an icon. And so is Dave Jackson. So, Rob Greenlee, yeah. And so, Andrew says he likes cream and sugar in his coffee. There you go. We had to know this kind of stuff. Like, you just can't say coffee. Okay. So, and by the way, if you want to know about the cold coffee drink that I started drinking, head over to my Instagram story today before it goes away. And let me know the answer to my question, because I'm only finding this drink in Whole Foods, and I don't remember the name of it. I just got introduced to it a couple weeks ago, and so I snapped it, or I storied it over on Instagram and asked anybody, does anybody else sell this besides Whole Foods? Because I found out about it, had it one time. Then the next 3 times I went back to Whole Foods, they didn't have it. And then today they had it again. So I'm like, I'm not dependent on Whole Foods to get my supply, but I'm not going to get hooked on it if nobody else has it besides Whole Foods. Okay, so here's the problem with Anchor. Oh, let me talk about the good parts of Anchor first, because Anchor is head and shoulders above these in one area. And when I say above these, remember, we're going to talk about Spreaker, Podbean, and Buzzsprout. But Anchor has one very unique and very important piece, and that is the community piece. The community. Because if you have a podcast and nobody listens to it, then it's kind of like, you're going to pod fade quickly. Okay. But there is no community right now that I know of that surrounds podcasting. There may be communities for narrow niche audiences, but for the podcasting in general, where podcasters can gather, connect, call in to each other's station and all of that, the only one that I know of is Anchor. And I do remember that there was another one that someone introduced me to during the summer, and I stayed there for 5 minutes, and I was like, this is not really Anchor. Does something similar, but just not the community vibe. It's the vibe over there on Anchor. And, I see that folks are commenting. So, right, no, not that much. Oh, and Carlos is here. He always says the morning, no matter what time of day. And Capone is agreeing with me, yes, about the Anchor community. And the True Royal family, hi, Queen. Yes. And Rick says, have to go watch this later. Bye. All right, Rick, come back later, hon. Sure, no problem. Okay, so Anchor has a community piece. So I encourage everybody, even if you're an old-time podcaster, to get a podcast with Anchor. Because no matter how big or small your audience is, you can build it even bigger on Anchor. I started this free podcast host, I want to say it was the 2nd or the 3rd of January. And today is the 19th, right? No, today's the 20th. Today is January 20th. I feel like it's somebody's birthday. I'm forgetting. Whoever you are, happy birthday. And since I started that station less than 20 days ago, I was on the top charts last night because I've built an audience, and I didn't have to buy Facebook ads. I didn't have to do a lot of social media. I just networked within the app, because people that are on the app are not only podcasters, but they're also listeners. So that's the piece that makes Anchor stand out. And so as long as it's here, I'll continue to use it, because it's a great way to build an audience. And it's also great for mining content, because you get ideas from the questions that people ask. And, Dr. Dan and Avi Uniglicht, and Dr. Dan is from Anchor Talk. Avi Uniglicht is from Ask Avi. These are 2 other folks that are over on Anchor that I collaborate with. We have a site called Anchor Boot Camps. Okay, so some of these features that we're going to talk about today, I'm kind of going to compare them with Anchor, or tell you why it makes sense to use them instead of Anchor. Okay, so is everybody okay with that idea? Let me know what you think so far. Okay, so I started off by signing up for free accounts with Podbean. Was the first one that I started with. And one of my friends over on Anchor, his name is Vernon Ross, he kind of encouraged me to try Podbean, because he talks about Podbean a lot. He says they're one of his customers, and he works with them on different ventures. And so I decided to try Podbean. Hey, Ventuitive, great to see you. And Podbean is really cool. I like Podbean a lot. And so some of the things that I liked about Podbean was the fact that they have a mobile app. They have an app where you can listen and you can record your podcast. The mobile app on Podbean is the bomb. I like that app, and I will probably use that going forward, even if I never go back to a paid account with them. Andrew said, we don't have to be okay with it as long as you are. And the mobile app on Podbean gives you the option to add background tracks similar to Anchor. However, there's only 3 different tracks, to set the mood, and they let you control the volume, something that Anchor does not let you do. On that volume of that background music, you can add in a track, but the track volume is loud no matter what. And a lot of folks who come on to Anchor, they don't realize how loud that music is, and so they add that track in, and then sometimes you're like, what did he just say? Or what did she just say? I couldn't even hear him. Because they don't realize that you have to speak up and to talk over the volume of the track. Podbean, no problem. They have a slider there. You can turn that music down, and I use it quite a bit to record for this new podcast. And by the way, in case I hadn't mentioned it before, Free Podcast Host. I have a Twitter account for Free Podcast Host. So it's just twitter.com/Free Podcast Host. And I also I want to refer you to the Spreaker version of Free Podcast Host. So it's Spreaker.com/Free Podcast Host or user Free Podcast. Anyway, I'll get you that link. Don't worry about it. It'll be in the description. Okay, so back to Podbean. Podbean has that mobile app that lets you record. Okay, so another thing that I like about Podbean is that they give you a choice of templates that you can use. So you have your, like a little web page with your episodes there, and it has a little widget area over on the side. So that means that you can still send them to a website with those widgets. If you're doing affiliate marketing, you can put your affiliate widgets in that area. Okay, so whatever you want, you can show your list of followers, because there is a bit of a community vibe on Podbean. Not that people engage with one another, but they follow and listen to each other's podcasts. So you can have that list of people that follow you and the list of the shows that you follow if you want. Okay, so here's another thing that Podbean has that I think is super, super cool. They have the option for premium content. Premium content, meaning that you can record an episode. You can even do, like I said, record it on your phone and mark it as premium, or you can just upload it like you normally would with your regular podcast. And then you can charge money. So it's a way to monetize your podcast for people to get access to that premium content. That's a real winner. And in fact, I would love for Spreaker to add that piece. But for Podbean to have that option is really, really incredible. So I'm just going to really quickly, guys, I just want to show you. I may have forgotten to mute some tabs over here. So let me get that all straightened out before I start screen sharing. Because when I talk about Podbean and their monetization, there's also something that I think is totally unique. And the only other people that I know that are doing this is, of course, Patreon, because you can become a patron over on Podbean. And I do want to let you guys know that if you want to support the show through this Podbean, I'm doing it a lot different than I'm doing it on Patreon. And you can support the show for $25. here, and here's that Podbean. In fact, I'll put that link over there in the chat just in case anybody wants to check it out, see what it looks like, because you may want to set one of these up for yourself. Okay. So I want you to see how it looks. Almost the same as Patreon, because you have those options there to add the rewards or the perks. You have those goals. Okay. And my goal that I have here is a equipment upgrade. You never know. Maybe one day I will get a high PR 40. So I decided to go with the $25 per month pledge here on Podbean. And, you know, the other thing I'd like to do is go ahead and upgrade my Podbean to a full Podbean account. So let me just show you really quickly the different, hang on, I got to get back to it, to the home page, sorry. Clicked on the wrong thing. To the different templates. Here's your choice of templates. Now, remember, we're just talking about the free account. Okay, so far, everything that I've talked to you about is available on the free account. So now these are the themes for folks who have a paid account. But I'm just going to scroll down. Here are the free ones. All right, and so the one that I'm using right now is this one, I think. I'm not sure, whichever one it is. Let's see. Let's scroll back up and you'll see the one that I decided to use. I just changed it like a few minutes ago. All right, and so then this is what it looks like. Now, with this, like I said, you can have the widgets over on the side. You do have the options to have it up at the header. You can have your social media accounts there, and if you wanted to have a link to something, you could have that there as well. I felt that was kind of clunky, but for social media it works just fine. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you a couple of bad things that I didn't like about it. Well, not bad things, but because remember, this is free, so I'm not going to say they're bad things. I'll call them limitations. Some of the things they limit you on. For example, here's an episode right here. Let's click on that episode. And you see that I don't have much to say there. And the reason why I don't have much to say in the description of that episode, let me make it bigger, is because Podbean limits you to 500 characters in your description. And so there was a few times that I was typing away, not realizing that what I was typing was not happening because I was going over the limit and I didn't even realize it. So that's one of the limitations for Podbean. Okay, so let me just look at my list here of here's another great thing that I like about Podbean. And this is something that Anchor does not have. However, Spreaker does. And this is important. You can listen to podcasts through your Amazon Echo. So, in fact, I did a podcast episode and, recorded it. What you would do is you have anybody who right now who has an Amazon Echo device, I got to remind myself not to say her name because I don't really want to activate her. You can right now say, name, open Podbean. And then it'll give you a little spiel about what Podbean is about. And then it'll say, you can say, play the latest episodes or popular episodes or play from your playlist. That part was a little clunky, but it did work because I had my daughter's podcast because Podbean is also a directory. So I just added my daughter's podcast to the directory, even though she doesn't use Podbean, but it's a directory. You can also search for any popular iTunes podcasts in the Podbean. And so I just asked it to play Better Than Success. and it played my daughter's podcast. So as time goes on, like right now, everybody's kind of like focused on Apple Podcasts, and everybody's waiting for Google to come up with their own app. But in the meantime, Amazon, you got to keep your eye on them. And so the fact that people who are going to be, there's so many millions of these things in people's homes now. If people want to consume podcasts through their device, this is a perfect way to do it with Podbean. Now, well, actually, it's not perfect. I'll get back to why it's not perfect in a minute. But it's good. It's a start. If you only subscribe to a few podcasts, like 3 or 4, it'll be great. Okay? So let's see. I think there's somebody who wrote a comment over here. Oh, Super Dell is here. Hey, thank you. Thank you. What are the advantages of Podbean to Patreon? Vintuitive, honestly, since nobody's actually become a patron over on my Podbean yet, so far, they are apples to apples. The one advantage that I would give over Patreon is that Patreon is dedicated to the whole patron philosophy. There's people there looking for different creators to benefit, to support. But on the other hand, Podbean is only addressing podcasting. So there's no real advantage as far as the features are concerned. The features are spot on. They're about the same. And actually, Podbean has the advantage of being able to do one-offs because you don't have to be a patron, because they also have this piece called the premium content. So a person can just pay $10 if, let's just say, you put together a short episodes, and I may even do that. I may export these free podcast hosts, because remember, free podcast host is a podcast, and I may take all those episodes when I'm all said and done and make them premium content, package them up kind of like a course, and then put those over on Podbean for premium content, so people could just pay a one-time fee. Then I don't have to worry about having an app or any of that other stuff. Even though I have Teachable, I just think it makes more sense because it's a podcast to use it on a podcasting app. Does that make sense? Okay. Does Anchor have a 5-minute limit? Yes and no. Thanks for sharing. New to your channel. Hey, Bo Knows. Okay, let me just get, these were some really good questions. Thanks for that question, Carlos. Just got to remember which one I want to share. That one. Oh, Bo Knows. Okay, guys, I always encourage everybody in the chat, and if Tish didn't get a chance to say it yet, tap on those 3 dots there and then go to channel. Connect with everyone, because like I say, this is a community, so go ahead and subscribe to somebody, and, you build your audience, they build their audience, and we all have a good time. Okay, does that make sense? All right. So Larry says, you still need to educate your market on how to use Amazon Echo to hear the podcast. Having Podbean and submitting the RSS to iTunes is a better way to get more traffic to your market. iTunes, Larry, you're absolutely right. iTunes is always going to, no, I shouldn't say always. Right now, iTunes is the gorilla, the 500-pound gorilla in the room. Okay, but slowly and surely people are moving to these devices, these smart speakers dominating the home. And a lot of people still don't understand podcasting. People don't understand podcasting. I was just listening to Rob Greenlee and Todd Cochran on their show saying there was another article out that came out saying that podcasting needs to change their name and all that. Okay, so even though, of course, that's a bunch of hooey, whoever wrote that article, I don't know. I didn't look into it. I started this live stream instead. Hey, Gord. Yes, and Gord is definitely someone who needs to get some extra subscribers and some extra watch time. The three dots. Okay, Ventuitive. If you look at the screen right now, you'll see what I mean. I don't see any three dots. Okay, if you're looking at the screen right now, at the end of someone's comment is the three dots. You see that? Okay, I hope you were watching, Ventuitive. So I can tell you guys, everybody who's in the room right now is good people. So follow everybody. You definitely need to hook up with Larry and Tish and Andrew. I mean, these are all people that are all just like you, like into tech, into mouse over the person's name in chat, Ventuitive, you'll see the dots. Yeah. And I think when you go towards the end to the right hand side of the chat box, and depends upon, like right now I have the chat popped out. Ventuitive, you may be on your phone. If you're on your phone, that's something different. Okay, and Bo is going to subscribe. Hover mouse over names and three dots will appear on the right hand side of the comments. I love it because my community, they help me out. Thank you so much. So by now, I don't have a mouse. I'm on an iPad. Okay, I'm not sure how it's going to work, how it works differently on an iPad because I've never watched YouTube from an iPad. But you do have your phone, right? I guess works the same way. Not on my iPad. No. I think that you should be able to tap on the person's profile pic and see it won't be three dots, but you should still see the options. You should be either tap on their name or their profile pic, one of the two. And you should see that option there to subscribe to their channel. Okay, I don't have an iPad, so I'm not 100% sure. Gord, I'm loving your Camtasia vid. Almost makes me want to switch from ScreenFlow. Almost. Yes, Ventuitive, looks like your chat is delayed a lot. Ventuitive, there's always a delay on YouTube Live. So sorry for that. And Andrew says that iPads are weird. And I agree, Larry. The Camtasia videos are pretty cool, but us Mac users can't do anything with them. But Gord had a very good video the other day talking about this whole situation with YouTube monetization. And so he doesn't just do Camtasia tutorials, although he does have a bunch of them over there, but he also talks about YouTube and about just the creative space that we're all in. I generally only ever watch YouTube on iPad. Okay, all right. Well, Ventuitive, what you can do is, let's see, how can I do this? I will try to get the information to you for folks who you want to subscribe to, because what I usually do is I get this chat saved, and just about everybody who's here now already knew except Bo, and I have already subscribed to Bo, so I can get you just about everybody's YouTube links. Okay, can't do that on iPad. I know you must leave the video. You must leave the video. Okay. Yes, we can. Camtasia is available for the Mac. Oh, okay. That's right, Larry. It is. But I already got ScreenFlow, so I don't need Camtasia. And you know what? When I was on PC and trying to learn Camtasia, it was too hard for me to learn. And that's why I was like, you know what? Forget that. Plus, it costs more. Larry's no, thanks. I want to learn ScreenFlow too. Going to diversify content more in order to grow more too. Yeah, ScreenFlow is the bomb. The bomb. Okay, so guys, the question came up about Patreon. So you know what? I want to go back to that question about Patreon, okay? Because I want you guys to see the difference between the Podbean version. They call it a patron program instead of just calling it Patreon. And so I just want you to see what Patreon looks like, and then we can compare it to, on my Patreon page, I have, it's all about me, So my face is on there and everything. And whereas on my Podbean one, it's about this free podcast host. So let's see if we can get that, change the screen share here. Okay, so this is with the Patreon page. Now, mind you, I may be able to change my banner and all that on the Patreon. On the Podbean one, I just didn't do any of that yet. But it's a similar setup here where you have the rewards are over here and you letting people know what your goals are and all of that. They can see that. So let's pop over to the Podbean one real quick. There's the Podbean one. And then this Facebook is... I was trying to see if this is... No, you know what? I probably need to set up these social links because I'm seeing now that these links do not go to my Twitter or my Google Plus or my Tumblr. That's probably something I need to set up. Let's see. How do I get over here? Manage patrons. Manage. Edit info. Okay, so this is what the back end of it looks like, guys. Save and continue. And I can put a video in there just like I have a video over there on Patreon. And in fact, I probably can just take that same video and just put a different YouTube thumbnail on it. And because that's like an unlisted video over on YouTube. And I still don't see here where I can change my social links because those social links were not good. Now I can add another goal just like I can over on Patreon. And I do not see where I can update my social links. So I'm going to write that question down because, I have to tell you, all these folks are so good with customer service. Every single one of them that I've reached out to on social media has come back to me with responses. So I'm going to write that question down. How to update the social links on the Podbean patron page. So sorry, it takes me a minute to talk and write at the same time. Because sometimes I go back and look at my notes and I'm like, you didn't finish writing what the question was. Social links on Podbean patron. Okay, sorry for the little lull in activity there. Let me put your comments back up on screen too because I think some more comments came in. The chat there. Okay. I don't think ScreenFlow is expensive for what you get for it, but it's all relative. Things being expensive is all relative. I thought Camtasia was expensive, but... And I honestly, right now, off the top of my head, I don't know the difference in the prices. Camtasia is available on the mic. I want to learn ScreenFlow too. Okay. I already went through those comments. Okay. So I think we kind of covered that question about, are you on Steemit? What are your thoughts? And I'm assuming that you're talking to me. And let's see how I can answer that question. Steemit, even though it's kind of off topic, it kind of does segue into something that that I've been promoting, and that is a class that my daughter is having, and I think I'm going to have to go over to Twitter to find it, so I'll do that on the next break. Steemit is related with cryptocurrency, is what I'm trying to get at. And I don't deal in cryptocurrency right at this moment. But my daughter is having a cryptocurrency class. She's not teaching a class, but she is having a class. And it's going to have a virtual aspect to it. So that will give everybody the opportunity to learn about cryptocurrency. And once I learn, if I actually decide to start investing in it, because Randy Halarski has been encouraging me to do cryptocurrency for the longest, and to join Steemit. Let me be more specific. Randy Hilarski, if any of you guys, I don't know if you remember him, but he he's the he is the person who introduced me to Mia Voss. And if you don't know that, Mia Voss is, oh, here's the class. Yay, I finally found a little promo for it. I'll give you the link because you can attend this class virtually as well. Hey, Beauty Bubble. Is monetization of your content very relevant? It's monetization of your content. Okay, yes. Hi, Tish. Okay, and we're talking about Blab. Travel, I will be promoting the class all this coming week. Ileane, thank you, Beauty Bubble. Making money through your content. Yes. So there, I will show you the, just show you the little graphic. Actually, one of the guys who's teaching the class, Jabbar is super smart, and he's been encouraging Nicole to invest in cryptocurrency for, I don't know, maybe about a year, and she didn't want to have anything to do with it. And then finally she did. She had some play money, and so she invested in it. And so now Jabbar, along with AJ, who is kind of a mentee of Jabbar, and Nicole's mentor, are teaching this class, and it's going to be on a Saturday. So I just love that. And so nope, that's the reason why I'm not on Steemit, because Steemit works, you get paid, but you get paid in cryptocurrency. And since I don't have anything in that market, it didn't make sense for me to sign. So every time Randy Hilarski would say, you better get on it, you better get on it. And I look and I was like, what's the reason why I don't do Steemit? Why don't I do it? And then I look and it's like, oh, because it's Bitcoin. And so I don't have any Bitcoin. So anyway, once I get educated and learn how it works, then maybe I'll, join Steemit. We'll see. I got my hands in so many different things. Like somebody was asking me about LinkedIn the other day. Oh, I think it was Ruth, in fact. And Ruth was asking me some questions about LinkedIn because she didn't see. Ruth is the What's the 411 guys. So you guys all know her. And she said she didn't have access to the video. And I said, I really don't use LinkedIn. I mean, I have an account. I've got over 500 connections over there. And she says, yeah, you got to focus. Yeah, I have to stick with my focus. I'm already spread on Facebook, YouTube, and podcasting. I don't have time for LinkedIn. But they got video now. So I may, do some experimentation over there. But not right now. Okay, guys, so we talked about Podbean, and I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything on Podbean. Okay, they have a mobile app, they have a consumption app, they have the Alexa skill. Oh, you get 50 megabytes, which is not a lot. It was fine for my anchor segments, to put some of my anchor segments up there, but if you're somebody who has an hour-long podcast, you're going to run out of space on the free version of Podbean really quickly. But mine's are short, maybe 15 minutes. I think the longest one is like 18 minutes, but some of them are 3-5 minutes. So I still have some time. So 50 megabytes is not a lot when it comes to podcasting. Okay. And then, they have an advertising. You can hook up with advertisers over on Podbean as well. So now, I think that's probably only for the paid accounts, but they do have that option. And they do have some stats. Here, now, this is really important because this is one of the downsides of Anchor. You can see stats on Anchor for the people that are in the app only. And nobody knows how many people are on Anchor because Anchor has not disclosed that information. Okay. But you can tell if your audience is growing. Like you could just be relative. Like, okay, yesterday I had 100 people listen to my content, which is still a lot. If you get 100 listens in a day, I never got that much on my podcast. On just my regular podcast, I've never got 100 listens in one day. Maybe I have. I take that back. Yes, I did. I take that back. But there's sometimes I could get 300 and 400 listens on Anchor in one day, and that I have never got. I never got that many listens the day that I post a podcast. Now, my daughter, she gets those kind of numbers and even more on her podcast. But you're only seeing the people inside the app. Okay? You don't know how many people are listening to your podcast through iTunes, Google Play Music, Overcast, Pocket Cast, which are all the distribution points for Anchor. However, with Podbean, they do show you some stats. Now, on the free version, it's limited. It's limited, okay? So next, I'm going to start talking about Buzzsprout. Gore said, wow, you're rocking it on Anchor. Thank you. D2 rocks. Perfect antidote, the YouTube apocalypse. Okay, there's a question that I'm going to put on screen here. Let me get that chat. Okay. And the question is, what is your impression and plans for Anchor as you go forward? How do you like it compared to podcasting? Well, actually, Anchor is podcasting, Gord. I like Podbean, and for sure, Guy loves it. Julio. Hi, Julio. Thanks for joining us. Anchor is podcasting. However, there's different ways that you can work with, oh boy, gotta hide that comment. It has limitations. It is podcasting, but it has limitations. So you can take anything you record on Anchor and turn it into a podcast, which will be in iTunes. You know, one of the criteria that most of the old school podcasters use is that your podcast needs to be in iTunes. Okay? And your Anchor podcast will get in iTunes if you submit it through Anchor. The problem is that you don't have a direct connection now for your podcast. Anchor has that connection, which is why you don't get the stats. If Apple, because the connection to get to the stats on Apple is your email. The person that submits the podcast gives Apple their email. It's actually your iTunes account email. Okay? And that's how you can log into your iTunes Connect account and see your stats. All right? But because Anchor is submitting the podcast, they have control over those stats. However, your content is out there on iTunes, and it is a podcast. It's just that it's an Anchor branded podcast, because at the beginning or at the end of your show, it's going to say this podcast was recorded on Anchor, and the title of the show is going to have your title, whatever you titled your show, /Anchor. And your profile pic is going to have the Anchor logo on there. But it is a podcast. So what is my plans for Anchor? Oh, like I said, you weren't here in the beginning. The big, huge piece of Anchor is the community building and the fact that you can build an audience on Anchor. Okay, and which is something that a lot of podcasters struggle with. A lot of podcasters struggle with, and people that have been podcasting for years and they still don't have their audience. You know, we were talking about Dave Jackson before, and Dave Jackson has always said, you know, one of the ways that you can build your audience is go where they are. So I know that I have an audience on Anchor because people on Anchor want to know how to do a proper podcast. They want to know how to create content. They want to know how to use social media. They want to know about YouTube. I had someone message me the other day and say they don't care how much they will pay me, help them with this YouTube thing because of this YouTube apocalypse. Okay? So I am where my audience is, and I'm building my audience. So hopefully that answers your question. And there's some other tutorials that I've done and that I will be doing in the future to show you how to easily get all that content out of your Anchor podcast and then upload it to a proper podcasting host, which is another thing that I do. I use Libsyn for that, but I'm going to be making another recommendation shortly. But before we get to that recommendation, the next thing I want to do is talk about, oh, wait. I got to give Carlos a shout out here. He says he just released a bunch of travel videos from South America on his YouTube. Good for you, Carlos. It's on the Lounge Network YouTube channel. Make sure you guys click those 3 dots and check him out. I sell solutions for Mac-based live streaming. Yes. So I do a lot of tutorial videos aside from, let me put up this, instead of me reading this, because later on when people watch the replay, they won't know what I'm talking about. Okay. So, and the Nightbot is there. Hey, Nightbot. Thanks for coming. Okay. Gord says, so I do a lot of tutorial videos aside from the other content that you described. I think you meant that I described. So I was wondering whether or not to do a podcast type of show or just do interviewing on YouTube. I know there's not enough hours in a day, but my answer would be, why not do both? I know. Like I said, there's not enough hours in a day for all the stuff that we want and need to do, right? So, oops. Okay. So, oh, Larry, new hashtag, super cool set. Oh, Larry, thank you for the super chat, Larry. You are awesome. Make sure you are connected with Larry on Twitter. He's Lawrence A. Snow. And his website is larrysnow.me. Okay, y'all make sure you go over to his website right now. Click on all his links and everything. Okay, tell me where I can buy a cloning machine. Nope, you just have to ignore your friends and your family and just spend all your time online. And if you talk to my friend Mr. Rodney, he'd be like, you worry about those people online more than you worry about me. Well, sometimes, yeah, I probably do. I'm not perfect. What can I tell you? So, thank you so much. Super cool Saturday. Yeah. So I want to go back to Gord's question since Larry didn't actually have a question, but you got your shout out, Larry, and you definitely will be in the description. Make sure I will make sure that, in fact, I can put a card up. And sometimes when I look at YouTube cards, I forget that I can promote another channel. So this is one. Let me write that down because y'all know I don't remember stuff. Write it down right now. Larry YouTube card. Okay. And this is what minutes are we at? We are 53. Wow. I didn't even get to the other 2 hosts. Jeez. Okay. Let's move on to Buzzsprout. Okay. All right, Carlos, your Lounge Network is pretty awesome. Yes, my family thinks I did that years ago. Yeah, Rodney thinks I did that years ago too. The robots are coming, the AI is, of course. All right, Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout, I want to let you guys know. I think this is another one you should keep in your hip pocket. Now, you can have a podcast on a host, especially when it's free, right? And that doesn't have to be the one that you submit over to iTunes. So it's not really a podcast. So some of my episodes are over on Buzzsprout because that's one that I wanted to check out. And honestly, I thought Buzzsprout was going to be like, but they surprised me. Oh my gosh, Buzzsprout is pretty cool. They have limits on the storage as well, and so does Podbean, and so does Spreaker. But their storage limits are based on an hour. You get 2 hours a month, and you also can't upload 100 megabytes at a time, or something like that. Something that most of us don't need to worry about. But after a certain time period, your episodes will come off of the website. So it's definitely something to use as a backup or as an extra tool to do some experimenting with, unless you just want to go full with Buzzsprout and go upgrade to the paid version. So it's a cool tool. And one of the tools that they have over at Buzzsprout is the sound bites. And it's that little waveform that goes across, and you can, promote your show on other platforms. It's great for Facebook. You can even use it on Twitter to promote an episode. So I would recommend using a Buzzsprout account, having it set up over there, and just uploading little snippets to create these sound bites, because these other places don't have a sound bite tool. Okay, so let's see if I can get one up so you guys can see what it looks like. I think I have one here. That you can, so you guys can see what I'm talking about when I say a sound bite. Did I do one this morning? Hang on, it may take me a second. I'm not going to play the whole thing. About expanding their podcast. They want to up-level the podcast, but they're still not ready to make that investment in a paid host such as Libsyn or Blueberry, or even an upgrade here on Podbean. Yeah, I don't know why I said I wasn't going to play the whole thing, because the limit is 30 seconds. So that's what they have over on Buzzsprout. Isn't that cool, right? And so you can use Buzzsprout just to create those little sound bites. And you don't care if the episodes go away there, because you're not using them for your primary host of your account. Because what happens when you create those little sound bites, you have to upload them to your Facebook page. So you need a Facebook page to upload it to, and then you download that file. Then that's how you create the video. You don't download them from Buzzsprout. You have to upload it to Facebook. Okay. So, all right. You can do dollars also. Not sure what you mean by that, Carlos. That sounds like you're on a different topic other than the one that I'm talking about. So that's fine. Talk amongst yourself. I don't mind at all. Okay. So I have actually this is my cheat sheet of the different features. So I have Spreaker on one, then Podbean, and then Buzzsprout. So let me just really quickly go down and see is there any limitations or anything special about. Now, Buzzsprout does not have a mobile app. So that means they don't even have a mobile app for people to listen to. So that's not a good thing. And they did say because I tweeted them and they said, yeah, well, we got plans, but they don't have one. So you can't record and you can't listen to Buzzsprout. So this also means they don't have an Alexa skill. So having an Alexa skill seems like, that's not a big deal. But then when you see someone who doesn't have one, then, that's an issue when you got other ones that do have them. Okay. The Alexa skill comes in handy, believe me. They have very, very limited, very crude stats. They do have them, though. And one thing they did have that I didn't like, that I noticed when I was on my site just the other day. And let's see if I can bring that up. When I type in Buzz, it thinks I want BuzzSumo. Buzzsprout. Hang on, guys. Give me a second to get in there. Over on Buzzsprout, my thing is called Free Podcast Hosting, not Free Podcast Host. And that's not the one that I promote anyway. But let's see if I see it here today. No, right now I don't see it. So I'm just going to leave that there and see if it pops up so I can show you guys something that happened over there that I didn't like. Their I will show you like what their web page looks like, because the web page is kind of limited. So you don't have much options with customization. You do have an option to customize that player. So I can make that player a little bit bigger, but I do have, the custom image there. I can put a background image on there, and you can put links in the descriptions of the show notes. You can do that. So that part is okay. But I'll just tell you, since I don't see it here, so they have AdSense. They put AdSense on the blog, and that's probably why I don't see it here, because I usually go into another account when I'm on here. So it'll pop up eventually. But I was kind of like, wow, what's the deal with the AdSense? Do I get credit? And maybe, yeah, I'm not sure why I'm not seeing it now, but I didn't like the fact that there was AdSense there. But it was very non-intrusive. It was at the very bottom of the page, and it wasn't near the content, and it wasn't really ugly or anything like that. It was just the fact that it was there. Larry, I don't know about affiliate for Buzzsprout, but I do have affiliate for Podbean though, but I don't know about Buzzsprout. So let me write that on my list of notes. Buzzsprout affiliate. Yes, but I did get approved for Podbean's affiliate program. So, and if I was going to promote, I would probably rather promote the Podbean one, because Podbean gives you guys a way to monetize, with built-in monetization tools. Now, back on Podbean really quickly, since we're talking about that. You have to have a Stripe account. That's how the money comes into you. Through the patron part and through the premium content, you need Stripe. So you should always have a Stripe. Stripe is kind of like PayPal, so you should have one of those in your hip pocket anyway, right? Okay, so I think we are done with Buzzsprout. And so we're going to go to my favorite podcasting host. And yes, I have an account with them, and I pay, even though this is the free podcast host. I pay for my account with Spreaker. And right now, this is another beauty of having Spreaker. Spreaker lets you have more than one podcast. So there's that. So with Spreaker, I actually have currently have three podcasts with Spreaker. Is that the right one? Yes. Okay. So I have the Miss Ileane Speaks podcast over there on Spreaker. However, that one is not in iTunes. Okay. So whenever you're on Spreaker, if you want to go and investigate someone's podcast, or if you hear their podcast somewhere, you can look at their shows and see. I have 3 shows here. So you can see episodes and you can see shows. Now, the Spreaker Alexa app was really cool. I just said the word and she didn't say anything. Yes, your hip pocket has if it's got a hole in it, then there's probably another affiliate marketer right behind you picking up all your little golden nuggets. Mr. Snow. Plug that hole up. The Spreaker Alexa skill, tell the open Spreaker, and anytime you're using an Alexa skill that's from one of these other apps, it's going to tell you about the app first. And that makes sense, because everybody's not a podcaster who's asking for the app, right? It tells you can listen to hundreds of podcasts or whatever. And then it says, once you connect your Spreaker account, on the back end, when you use your phone, the Alexa app on your phone, and you connect your Spreaker account, then it knows who you are. Then you say you want it to play and you can say the podcast by name. Now, of course, you can't find Miss Ileane Speaks because Alexa don't know how to say Ileane. You can ask for Miss Elaine Speaks. That might work because she thinks my name is Elaine. But anyway, or Ileane, one of the two. But if you ask for Spreaker to pay free podcast host, she will play it. Or you can ask her to play, what's my other podcast that's over here? I have two. The Anchor Show. I imported all my files from Anchor. So now, this gets back to your question, Gord. Gord asked the question about what was I going to do with my Anchor? I can use all that stuff that I have over there on Anchor. I imported this RSS feed. In fact, I did a video about it to show how you can import all of your RSS feeds from Anchor and make a completely separate podcast. And so here's what you can do once you do this. This is a real beautiful thing about Spreaker. Now, if I want, I can download all of my episodes. I don't have to go into the app. I don't have to do a bunch of rigmarole. Previously, I was teaching more complicated and convoluted ways to get all of your episodes from Anchor. Even opening up iTunes. You don't have to do any of that. You can do it right on Spreaker. And then also you can use the Spreaker's player because Spreaker has a gorgeous player. The Spreaker player is gorgeous, guys. It's my favorite. And let me show you really quickly. In fact, I'm going to show you with another podcast because I think it looks better when you see it with the, actually it doesn't look that bad here because I use this image. But you can take the Spreaker logo because a lot of people love that SoundCloud player, right? But you can't take the SoundCloud logo off of your player. But you can take the Spreaker logo off. And if you wanted to hide comments or whatever, you can do that as well. If you wanted to make it a dark theme, you could do that as well. If you wanted to just use the photo as the background for the player, you could do that. Of course, I wouldn't do it with that photo, but I could upload a different photo. Then if I wanted to put this on my sidebar, okay, let's see. How did I do it on the sidebar? In pixels, my fault. If I wanted to put that on the sidebar on my blog, I would do that. And then I could do a playlist enable, which would mean that I can embed my entire Anchor podcast on my blog. So somebody could just sit here and binge listen to all of my shows, all of my episodes. And I will get stats for it. So, for example, like I said, I was playing around with the Amazon Echo. And, this is stats for all of my shows. I don't want that. I want stats for free podcasts. No, for this one. Nope, I disabled the RSS feed. Well, yeah, that's because I clicked on the wrong thing. I want this show stats. Okay, here's the show stats. And here it's showing you that devices, I believe, is the one. Nope, sources. So, there you go. Sources. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see that. Just from me testing it, just so you can see that I had 2 plays from the Spreaker Alexa skill. Okay. How cool is that? You don't get that. That particular stat. You're not going to find out those stats from Anchor. You won't see it on Buzzsprout. I don't think it tells you. Buzzsprout doesn't have a skill, so it definitely doesn't tell you. So Spreaker, oh my gosh, I got to give you guys some more reasons why I love Spreaker. With the descriptions, you can fill out the full description. You don't have that 500 character limit like you do on Podbean. This is on a free account, okay? You have destinations. So not just Google Play and iTunes, you also can get your podcast up on YouTube. You'll see a lot of podcasts that are Spreaker on YouTube. And you also can get it up on iHeartRadio. You do have to apply for the iHeartRadio. And it also integrates with Tumblr. I don't know if you guys are big Tumblr users, but if you were. Can you create your own skill on Alexa for your podcast? I don't need to, but yeah, you can. And in fact, Libsyn says that they're going to do that soon. I don't know if they're going to charge more for it. They're very vague about it when they talk about it. But yes, you can create your own skill for your podcast. You certainly can. Me personally, I don't need to do that because I got it in there 2 different ways right now. So, like I said, I don't know if Libsyn's going to charge, or if they do charge, how much they're going to charge. They may just give it to folks for free, or maybe the existing customers will be grandfathered. I don't know how they're going to do it. And the fact that they're not saying makes me think they're going to charge for it. They're kind of like priming the pump, letting everybody know it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And then when it comes, it's like, oh, it's only $5, or something. I don't know. Okay. So you said you got an email the other day from Spreaker. Okay. I love these long videos. I think this is why you jive well with me, Ileane. Love these live streams. Thank you, sweetie. I'm glad you love them, Tish. Let me just put that up real quick. And there you go. All right. So, Larry, can you be more specific so I can make sure I understand? You got an email the other day about what? And I see you say Spreaker, but do you have an account with Spreaker? I'm confused. If you got an email from Spreaker about the Alexa skill, you can pay them to build a skill just for your show. That would be separate from telling Alexa to open Spreaker. You can pay them, and I don't know how much it costs because I'm focusing on the free stuff right now, Larry. Only because I know this is the problem that people have. They don't want to invest. But for you, I will go out of my way to find out how much it costs. Okay? But I have to get back to you. All right, my dear? But I sure will. Read above. Okay, so I didn't scroll back far enough. Sorry. Sorry. I'm reading above, Larry, and I know there's a delay. So I think is having a sale or something to upgrade your account. Oh, that is one thing about Spreaker. They will send you an email every week to upgrade your account. Every week. Every week. And every week they make it seem like, oh my God, you better hurry up and do it. You're missing out on this, that, or the other. So there is that with Spreaker. They are heavily, and sometimes even when you log in, you'll see the message bar up at the top of the page telling you upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. So you kind of get a lot of messaging about that. But yes, they were having a sale. Yep. But I don't know. I don't remember how much it costs. I didn't look into it. But like I said, I will when the live stream is over. I'll look into it and see how much it is to do the upgrade. Okay? Because I honestly don't know where to go inside the dashboard to do that. But maybe I'll try it right now. Now, Spreaker gives you the opportunity to monetize your show, but it's through ads. Excuse me. It's through ads. Right now I have 3 cents. and you have to have $10 in order to get a payout. So, I understand folks that are on YouTube and struggling and saying, I'm not really making that much money because, hey, I enabled this and I probably made this 3 cent months ago, maybe even a year ago, and it's just still sitting there because I really promote the Libsyn version of my podcast because that's the one that's in iTunes. This one is not in iTunes. People that listen on Spreaker are on Spreaker. Unless they're on the Amazon Echo, which I just started like 2 days ago. Okay. So let's see. I'm on the thing, but I want to see what the upgrade thing looks like. Import, upload a new file, settings, back to the Spreaker website. Probably if I go over to my account. Sorry guys, I just wanted to. Okay, GoPro. All right, so let's get on this journey together. Let's see what happens when you go pro. Okay. So wait, let me close this. Something else out. So I have 2 Chrome windows open. So let me minimize one of them. Making me a little dizzy right there. Okay, so Go Pro. Plans and pricing. So here's, they don't have all the options of the free account on this. This grid is only for people who are going to upgrade and pay money. So there's not a column here for free, just so you'll know. All right, so let's see if any of them say anything about the Alexa. No, doesn't say it on here. So I will have to look in through my emails. Oh, I got some plays on the Sonos speaker on that podcast too, on the regular Miss Ileane Speaks podcast, which I think was incredible. And that's right. SoundCloud is another destination for Spreaker. But, if you have a free account on SoundCloud, you run out of space really quickly over there too. Analytics, audio storage. Yeah, with this Alexa distribution, let's see what is available on all plans. Connect Spreaker to your social networks and support your conference. Doesn't say anything there about it. So, Larry, let me know if you, okay. Some more comments over here. So let's go look at those. Because Andrew is struggling a little bit with the monetization over on YouTube. No, they were having a sale. Okay, there you go. And fake urgency really turns me off, Andrew. Yeah, I kind of get turned off by getting emails every week from Spreaker too. I got to be honest with you. But I mean, it's an email marketing thing, and it's probably on autopilot. And then Larry says, neither did I. And I think you're talking about the upgrade. Well, with 3 cents, you can give your 2 cents. Thanks, Larry. It has taken me 4 years on YouTube to make 22 cents. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, this monetization, when it's this ad-based situation, is not always a good thing. That's why I encourage you to do the Patreon, or the super chat. That's one good thing. And thanks again, Larry, for your super chat earlier. And so I would have to dig through my emails, and more than likely I deleted it, Larry, about the skill. I'm sorry. But I'm make sure I have it written down on here. Find out about the app. Because you can get an app. Libsyn will build an app for you now too for a fee. But I don't know. And I think also expensive. So I'm going to write that down. Wants to know about the Amazon app from Spreaker. Okay. So Larry, what kind of an account do you have with Spreaker? I'm curious what kind of account you have with Spreaker, because I know that you're using Libsyn, so I didn't know If you were just using Spreaker just for the additional distribution or what. Now, I don't know what the requirements are to get into iHeartRadio, but that's another option, that Spreaker offers. Let me go down my list of things, and there's something here that Spreaker does that nobody else does. Let me see what that is. The episode image. Okay. Having a custom image for each episode is something that you can do on Spreaker and on Buzzsprout. Now, you can have a custom image with each episode on Podbean as well, but all the themes, the free themes, don't show the image. Well, maybe there's one or two, but I don't like black backgrounds, so I didn't explore all the themes on Podbean. But I thought that was like kind of a downer. All the ones that I wanted to use, none of them show the episode artwork. And I'm like, I'm making all this artwork for all these episodes. It will, if I embed the player on my blog, the episode artwork will be there. Okay. But to just show on the web page over on Podbean, it doesn't show. So I got to talk to them about that, because it could be just the fact that I'm excluding some of the different themes, but it seems like to me, all of the themes should let you have the episode artwork there, but they don't all. Okay, so, but Buzzsprout does let you have the episode artwork, and you guys saw that. I've tried iHeartRadio with Libsyn, not in yet. Yeah, iHeartRadio is, I don't know what's going on with those people. There was an issue with iHeartRadio about the counting of the stats. That was a big problem. I don't know if you heard about that, Larry, but it had to do with PodTrack and the way things were preloading on the website, and it was making it look like iHeartRadio's stats were really big, but they're not, because you're not supposed to preload a podcast. Well, you shouldn't autoplay or preload any kind of media, in my opinion, but somehow this was getting past the folks at PodTrack, but they came out. It's not like somebody discovered it. They discovered it, they realized it, and they fixed it. But in the meantime, that was a no. All right, let's see what else they have that other people don't. Okay, they don't have a patron program. They don't have any AdSense. They do have a way for you to get advertising. Oh, and they have the private episodes. I mentioned that Podbean had the premium episodes. Podbean also has private and premium. But Spreaker has private. They don't have the premium. Spreaker doesn't have that monetization piece like Podbean does, where people can pay you directly through Stripe. They only have the advertising model on Spreaker currently. But remember, Spreaker purchased Blog Talk Radio. So if you didn't know that, I'm saying remember, and I don't even know if you knew that. And that just happened a few months ago. And so they haven't really started integrating, but that's coming. And Rob Greenlee hinted at it on the podcast. Because Spreaker has their own podcast called the Spreaker Live Show, and Rob Greenlee's the host of that. So Rob Greenlee's on 2 shows. If you want to learn about podcasting, follow Rob Greenlee with 2 E's, Greenlee, E-E. Follow him on Twitter, because he is the host of the Spreaker Live Show, where he talks about podcasting. And he's the co-host of the New Media Show. He's actually the co-host of the Spreaker Live Show, too, with Alex Exum. But the New Media Show, where you got 2 icons in the podcasting industry, Todd Cochran from Blueberry and Rob Greenlee. And like I said, I was in the middle of watching that episode when I realized, you know what, I better go live and get it over with. I'll watch Todd and Rob later. So he hinted at the fact that there's going to be some integration between the way Blog Talk Radio works, but I don't know and how that's going to impact Spreaker users. It sounds like it might impact Blog Talk Radio users a little bit more, but not in a bad way at all, in a good way. So we shall see. We shall see. And so they have those private accounts. They don't have a patron program, but you know what? That's something I definitely need to email or tweet Rob about. And Beauty, she's another person that can tweet Rob or text him and he'll answer right away. And I want to know why they don't have a patron program like Podbean does. And they don't have the sound bites either. But they do have, when you connect your Spreaker account with YouTube, it'll just be a static image there. It won't be the waveform. But I don't know if that's ever going to change, because I think the waveform would be just a little bit more attractive. However, on a YouTube video, it might be a little annoying, because it's either just like, let me just listen to it, even though it's a video. Let me just listen. I don't need to watch that thing quivering for an hour if this podcast or show is an hour long. Okay. So let's talk about this last thing before we wrap things up, because this is one of my favorite things about Spreaker. So I talked about how much I liked the recording tool from Podbean, the app. But the Spreaker console, Spreaker has an app. You can record on the app. And you can record from their website. And you can record from the standalone app that works on PC and on your Mac. And I showed you guys this before, but since we're here together now, I'll show you again. And let's get that up. Spreaker Studio. This app is so cool. In fact, I went live on this app a couple times this week. So, I love the fact that I can be live. Now, on Podbean, you can't do a live stream, an audio live stream. But on Spreaker, you can. So, that's very cool. And basically works quite simply. You know, you would just start, and it gives you the option. Oh, it's not letting you type Spreaker.com? Is that what you mean? Because you're saying it's not letting you type Spreaker. I wonder if that's a banned word from the Nightbot. Let me try it. Okay, now it is weird. I was able to type it. So anyway, let's go back to looking at the Spreaker console. If I wanted to go live right now I'm going to go live on the Spreaker console. And hopefully it doesn't mess up any of the audio here. And I just got to put in something to make it seem like I'm ready to go live. And this is just a test, demonstration of the Spreaker Studio on the desktop. And I can put my bumpers in here. So, you know, and then when you're all done, like on this, I'm not going to post it. Do you really want to stop the broadcast? I'm going to say yes. But well done. You were live for 27. You can view it, or you can copy and share it. Thanks, I'm done. Or edit it on the website, or edit it in your podcast. I think I wanted to say no, I don't want that to post, but I think I might have missed that screen. Can you? All right, let's put up. Oh, geez. I closed that out, and Ecamm didn't know what to share. Okay. Can you interact with anyone when you're live on Spreaker? Yes, you can. If anybody comes over to my chat area, they can chat with me. Yep. So it's live streaming audio with chat. Yes. Oh, and so Andrew says spell check doesn't like that word. Isn't that something? Maybe I need to go into my YouTube and add it as an approved word or something. Maybe that's a YouTube thing. Very interesting, guys. Real quick here. Somebody's messaging me. I don't, for the life of me, I can't figure out why somebody wants to message me right now. I think it's one of the other patrons. I think they were just typing into the chat there. So hopefully, whoever you are, you come over and join us over on YouTube, because I'm about to end the stream soon. Because there's so much more to say and so many more demos that I could go through. But it is starting to get a little tender over there. You know, so I will follow up with you guys about not being able to type Spreaker. Let me write this down on my notes. I got a whole list of to-dos. Can't type Spreaker into chat. And like I said, it could be the Nightbot. I have a feeling that it has something to do with the Nightbot. And not so much YouTube, because the Nightbot has restrictions, and I just never went in there and updated any of them. And so, I don't know. Could be. We'll see. I'll let you guys know for sure. Oh, that was the Nightbot that put. You know what I'll do? Maybe I'll get the Nightbot to add something in there about Spreaker. Well, it's not too late to do that, is it? I think it's too late. I think that once you start the live stream, you can't go in there and edit Nightbot and tell it to change some of the things. I don't think you can do that. And I'm not going to test that right now. In a minute with me, I've got Grammarly. Could be that too. Oh, it could be. Because I didn't have any problem spelling this. And that's one reason why I don't use Grammarly. Because I don't like stuff interrupting me. I need to be heard. My voice. I don't like when I get autocorrect on my phone when I'm trying to type something. You guys just don't know how frustrated, and it makes me feel old. Like, I bet the young kids know how to stop it from doing that. But no, I think what it is the young kids just say, okay, it's spelled wrong. People will know. Who cares? Yeah, but when you old school like me, you want things spelled correctly. Okay? So Andrew's sister says that Grammarly gets testy sometimes. Yeah, it could be that. So I think there may be a list of approved things in Grammarly. You know, like you may be able to go into the settings on there and tell it to stop bothering me when I type Spreaker. Just to give you guys a little thing about Anchor, I'm going to say something good about Anchor before we close down the stream. Anchor community has memes, right? Hashtag memes. And if you ever want to just have some fun on Anchor without doing a podcast or whatever, on Saturday, Tim Araneta, and you don't have to look him up because I'm going to give you a hashtag. The hashtag is Sing Song Saturday. Hashtag Sing Song Saturday. And in fact, you don't even have to call into his station. You just tag your segment Sing Song Saturday, and all you have to do is sing a song. You can just sing a cappella. It could be short. It could be long. It could be off key. It could be a silly song. It could be a ditty. It could be an opera. It doesn't matter. Just any kind of singing. You can have your family singing with you. You can have music playing in the background and sing on top of it. You can do like I did. I have the 2 Anchor stations now. I sang the song in one key on one station. It was flat. Both of them were flat. I can't really sing that great. I sing okay. I can get by. But some people come on there and they're so talented. And then others are just so funny that it's just like you could just sit there and listen to people singing on Sing Song Saturday all night. And that is the community thing that, you know, is Anchor. You know, and then another girl, her name is Jennifer, and she's just Jennifer. She spells it differently though. I think it's JENAPHAR. She does the weekly music question. Jennifer's music question. I forget what her hashtag is. So she does something similar. What's your favorite song that makes you laugh? Or what song reminds you of being in school? Or what song makes you feel melancholy? Whatever. And everybody calls in with their song. Some people sing the song. Some people play the song, because you know you can play music in Anchor because there's a connection with Spotify and Apple Music. And then sometimes people will play it from YouTube, or you can go to YouTube and grab the URL and use the web clipper and have that whole entire song instead of a 30-second clip from Spotify. So it's just the community aspect of it. Oh, and then I tell you about the movie night. Kevin No Malone. He does a movie night once a month. Everybody gets together and they look at the previews of movies, and they will pick a movie for everybody to watch together, and then they will have live feedback on Anchor during the movie. So the first step is for everybody Kevin will give them a list. These are the 4 movies or 3 movies that we have to choose from. Or no, he lets people submit your nominations. And then after everybody submits their nominations, he picks the 4 movies. And then these are the 4 movies. Go over to YouTube, watch the trailer, and come back and vote. Then everybody votes. And then let's say it's on the first Saturday or the second Saturday of the month. They all go and they watch the movie. Somewhere, wherever it is. On Netflix or something like that. And then there's live chat about the movie. Like that kind of community stuff. I don't know nobody else that does that except Anchor. Now I know Rabbit has something similar, but it's different because you need that piece beforehand for people to call in and say why they want to watch this movie. And you don't do all that on Rabbit. It may be some text, but there's no audio component on Rabbit, because I heard that Facebook has this thing called Facebook Watch, where people now you can go into your group and then tell everybody watch this thing, it's gonna be. And I was thinking to myself, now that's just like Rabbit. But on Anchor it's totally different, and I don't even watch movies, but I just like the fact that they're all doing it. They're all doing it together. I think it's amazing. Any rumblings of when you'll have to start paying for Anchor? No, and I don't know that we as content creators are going to have to start paying. I don't know how that's going to work. It could be that there's going to be advertising. It could be that they're going to charge people who are just listening. It could be a million different things. It could be something that we never even thought of. So there's no rumblings. For sure, there is no rumblings. And I got a feeling that we as content creators are not going to have to pay. And if we do, then yeah, that's pretty much going to be the end of Anchor. Especially since I'm introducing everybody to all these free podcast hosts. People, that's just my prediction. And maybe people are willing to pay and they just, still looking for free podcast hosts. But to me, if you were already looking for a podcast host, you never would have landed on Anchor. If you were willing to pay for a podcast, you wouldn't know how awesome Anchor is. Unless you're somebody like me, like folks like us who dabble a little bit in everything, but like if the average folks who have a message, they want to spread the message, and they're thinking about starting a podcast, they're not going to use Anchor. They're going to go with the Libsyn or the Blueberry or the Spreaker or whatever. Or, and this is the reason why I started this whole free podcast host, or they're simply not going to do it because they think it's extremely expensive, that you got to buy a bunch of gear, and that it's very technical and hard to understand. That's why Anchor is still small, because it's still only a handful of people that realize that this is a free tool where I can record. And to answer Carlos's question, even though he's probably not here, he asked if Anchor had a 5-minute limit. Yes, there is a 5-minute limit, but you just keep recording 5-minute segments. And you can record something on your computer. You have to record it in Anchor, or you can record it on a different app on your phone and use the web clipper. And it could be an hour. And you could just drop it into the web clipper and it'll be segments, but people, like if somebody's listening to it, they'll never know that they just went to the next segment if they're listening to it. So there is a limitation of the 5 minutes when you're actually recording if you're using the app. Hey, Rodney. Rodney, I heard you got tagged over there by Morning Fame. Yep. And so anybody who doesn't know what I mean by that, if you're into Morning Fame or if you're into this new thing about tagging, Rodney got tagged. So tag your it, Rodney, I heard. So that's something new that I guess the guys at Morning Fame want to shout out creators. And Rodney was the one that got shouted out. Yeah. And so Larry's here, Rodney. I guess you guys know each other. We hang in the same circles. So guys, wow, this has been amazing, amazing. Okay, before I go, I'm just going to play my little, this is only 2 minutes to give you inspiration to start a podcast. Here you are, my friend. You have a message that you know will bless someone's life. Maybe your jokes can make them smile. Maybe your voice can soothe their soul. Or maybe you can motivate them to find their purpose. The problem. You see, here's the thing. You don't know how to get your message across in a way that it can have a lasting impact. In today's fast-paced world of digital media, where tweets, snaps, and stories are fleeting thoughts that evaporate before they can be consumed, at times you feel hopeless. Will they ever know? You were put here to make a change, to somehow make things better. But what if they never hear you? This is why I am encouraging you to start a podcast. Podcasting is the way that you can break through. You can break through the noise. You can break through the clutter. You can get your message across in a podcast. It's that intimate connection that you have with your listener when you're in their earbuds. There's nothing like it. Start your podcast today and change someone's life. I love this EcammLive program. Woo! And that's why I am using this EcammLive today, because I wanted to play that for you. I had no idea this live stream was going to go on this long. I so appreciate you guys for being here. And I know last week I said it, but this week I mean it. Next weekend, get camera ready. Be ready to come on cam. I'm going to go back to YouTube events so that you guys can come on cam and join me. Oh, and by the way, YouTube has a new thing called YouTube Camera. Did anybody see that? I saw a video on that and I'm like, wait, I don't have access to it. But the person that was doing the video, I saw, it's a way that you can use YouTube Live on desktop that's almost exactly like it is on your phone. So you can't add guests in or anything like that, but you don't need to use Hangouts. You can just use that. So, yes. Okay. Bye, Larry. Thanks for saying that my thing was soothing. And stay tuned for some tutorials about the YouTube camera. You saw the news too? Hey, have a good one. Thanks, Rodney. So when I find out more, I'll let you know about YouTube camera. I just saw it. Just didn't look like it was anything great, but it was just a different way that you didn't have to have the Hangouts. And even though I like doing the Hangouts, and that's what we'll do next weekend. So with that, guys, peace. In the words of Joey Kissimmee, peace. I love you for free. Bye for now.